Good morning, everyone. I went and pushed start as some of you were saying hi. So good morning, Michael, and good morning, Travis. Glad you're here. Kristen's been asking some questions about in-person classes. And yes, Kristen, we have been doing groups of, well, now we can do groups of up to 100 if the space allows, but woo, my volume's on. So we have started, if you haven't seen it yet, we have started our in-person yoga and beer classes around the Salem area, and we'll be expanding beyond that here pretty soon. And we are opening the group based on the size that's available to us. Most of our classes are capping at about 25, 30 right now. But here we are on Saturday morning, and we will be continuing this ritual because we know so many of you love it. And also selfishly, Musketeer has been pouting because I've been doing less and less classes at home. So he's personally very excited that Saturday morning is continuing. But anyway, I'm so glad you're here. If you've not practiced with me before, I'm Mikki. This is going to be our feel good Saturday morning flow. Lots of options given for you to sort of handcraft the practice that you need this morning, taking the things that you do need, leaving and ignoring the things that you don't, and giving yourself a moment of pause. I found a really good graphic yesterday. For those of you that want to see it, I posted it in my Instagram story last night. That to me just kind of summarizes a lot of what we're doing here in yoga. And it was visualizing the difference between an emotional reaction versus a mindful response. And the visual basically went like, here's an event that happens, and there's the reaction, right? Just kind of on a line. And then when we're doing a mindful response, there's an event that happens, and then there's a moment of pause. And then there's the ability to mindfully respond. And in the moment of a conversation or an interaction, right, that moment of pause might be quick. It might just be some of the tools we learn in yoga, our breath, getting down into our feet, relaxing the body, right? We've all kind of felt that tension that happens when we emotionally react to something. But then sometimes we're fortunate enough to have an entire hour to come to our mat and to lay that groundwork of pause so that when we leave, we can be a little less in that emotionally reactive place and a little bit more in that mindfully responsive place. So that's what we're doing here this morning. Good morning, Wendy. Glad you're here. Good morning, Mom. With that, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to get started a little bit differently today. We are going to get started, if you're comfortable with it, face down, just belly flop down on the mat, really turning into ourselves. And I'm going to give you an option if that doesn't feel good. So the option, if laying flat on your belly doesn't feel good, is going to be child's pose, which might just be your preference. Knees wide, feet together, forehead on the ground, arms forward. Or if you feel comfortable with it, let's stretch all the way out. I like to create a little pillow for my forehead with my hands. You could also turn a cheek to the ground. But if it's comfortable to have the gaze downward and your forehead resting on your hands, that can be a good way to really just turn inward and to start to sort of disconnect your experiencing elements, your eyes, your nose, your ears, kind of disconnecting those from the world around you. And wherever you've ended up shape-wise, let's allow the body to start to get really comfortable and soft here. Minimal effort, minimal sensation. And let's begin to invite that breath to move out and in. In a rhythm that feels really steady for you this morning. And in a rhythm that gives you that pause. And if there's anything in your mind or in your life right now that's making you feel sort of that emotionally reactive response, anything that's just been playing in your mind over and over again, maybe for this period of time, you just set it aside. Not throw it away completely, but just set it aside. Give yourself this time and space to get that pause that gives perspective. Starting to feel the ground beneath you and the way that you root down into the ground. Beginning to feel your breath and the way it's moving in and out of your body. And beginning to notice the way that your body is holding and carrying the events, the conversations, the interactions, and the experiences from your week. Maybe this morning you focus on all the tools that this practice has: breath, grounding, physical sensation, the focusing of the mind, and the stilling of the eyes. And there's more. Or maybe you just really focus on one that seems to make a big difference for you in terms of feeling mindful as opposed to emotional, responsive as opposed to reactive. And that's where you kind of direct your energy and your attention in each of the shapes we take. If you're in child's pose, start to come out to the belly if that's comfortable. And if you've got a cheek to the ground, let's go ahead and turn your forehead to the floor. Now, you can put your hands still below the forehead if you'd like, or you could have the forearms below the forehead. 4 to 4. But let's have the nose pointed straight down toward the ground. And I don't want this to be a ton of effort. It doesn't need to be a huge lift. I want you to take your right leg and just start to elevate the foot, maybe, 6 inches off the ground. Less could be just fine. Just enough that you can reach back through those toes and feel a great sense of length through that leg. And as you do that, can you continue to ground and root into your pelvis, into that left thigh? And instead of feeling this huge kind of outer sensation of length, can you feel a really deep inner lengthening in the low back, through that right hip, through the right leg? And then go ahead and let that right foot come on down. Let's do that same thing on the second side. So left leg hovers. Instead of just thinking up, I'm actually less concerned about the height of the leg. Think length, think back. And then go ahead and let that left foot come on down. Let's go back to that right side one more time. Lengthening back to find lift. Option to stay here. Option to keep your right hand below your forehead, but to take your left arm forward and to lift and lengthen through those left fingertips. So it's opposite arm and leg. And again, I'm not looking for huge lift here. I'm not looking for huge sensation. Just create length. And then let that left hand come back down below your forehead. Let that right foot come to the ground. And let's do that one more time on that second side. So left leg elevates and lengthens back. Maybe you just stay with that. Maybe you take that right hand out from beneath your forehead and you reach it forward. Hand off the ground if you can. So there's a sense of length, decompression, if you will, and the creation of space. And then let the left foot come back down, the right hand come back down. And let's slide your hands back beside your side ribs. Elbows point straight back and hug in. Couple rounds or couple breaths here of your baby cobra. So letting that heart lift, shoulders lift, and hands are pulling back, but not necessarily pressing down. You could lift them off the ground at any point that you want to. And instead of really cranking the chin up and shortening the back of the neck, let the chin drop softly in toward the chest. The back of the neck be really long. And then press into the tops of the feet. Start to feel your quads engage. So legs are really active here. Let's keep the feet grounded, but have that same sense that you're lengthening out through those toe tips so much that the feet feel like they might just fly off the ground at any moment. And then exhale, curl back down. Let your forehead come to the mat. Let's lift and lower here a couple times. Inhale, baby cobra. Take the entire length to find that full expression, and then exhale, curl right back down. Keep your legs nice and active the whole way. Let's do 2 more here. Inhale. Maybe you feel ready to start to put some weight in the hands and come up a little higher. If you don't, just keep it low. Exhale, right back down. And then one more time. Inhale, lifting. And lowering. As you come back down, we're going to press into hands and knees. Come on up, table. Take your time. It's Saturday morning. You don't need to rush at any point today. And let those knees settle right below your hips. Let's keep working into that upper body. So we're going to keep your hips over your knees. Start to crawl the hands forward. Think downward facing dog, but it's the puppy version. Let your forehead melt down to the floor. And let's take some really deep, full breaths around your heart, the front of the heart, the back of the heart, the sides of the heart. Those of you that just woke up ready to go, or you're just really naturally mobile in the upper back, you might bring your chin to the ground instead of the forehead. If it creates a lot of sensation, I'm going to vote just keep the forehead down. And then let's curl those hands back under your shoulders. And we'll start to move through some cat-cow. Inhale, belly down, head and heart up. And exhale, round your spine. Let the head fall forward. Back and forth there with your breath. Feeling the spine trickle into the shape of cow as you inhale. And the spine trickle into the shape of cat as you exhale. Udder down, cow pose. And spine rounds, cat pose. Focusing on those tools that yoga gives us for that moment of pause that moves us from emotional, reactive, to mindful and responsive. So maybe that's how you're touching the ground here. Maybe that's the movement of your breath. The openness, softness of your body. Where you're placing the eyeballs. These are all elements that create that mindfulness, that presence, that pause. Let's take one more round here. And we're going to come back toward that cow shape. As you do that, let's tuck the toes under and start to peel your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Now, if down dog just isn't your jam this Saturday morning, table, cat, cow, child's pose are all great alternatives anytime we are in down dog. But if it feels nice, up and back those hips go. Let your head hang heavily between your arms. And let's either wag your tail or pedal your feet just to get into the legs and the hips a little bit this morning. When you're ready, let's inhale, rise up onto the balls of the feet or the tippy toes, heels lift. And exhale, heels drop back toward the floor. Nice and easy like that 2 more times. Find height, find lift. And lower, lengthen, ground as you exhale. 1 more time. And then from there, let's start to walk your feet forward toward your hands. Take as many steps as you need. And when you're at the top of the mat, go ahead and bend your knees generously and allow your spine, your body, your arms, your head to drape and to hang. Maybe you take a couple nods and shakes of your head. Maybe you sway the torso a little bit side to side. And then let's bend your knees a little more. And with no rush, just all the time and space of a Saturday, let's roll up inch by inch by inch. Feeling at the very last moment there, the head stack upon your spine and hands go up toward the ceiling. Palms join together overhead and exhale, hands down into your heart. Being fully here. Linger for your in-breath. Feel that inhale fill you up. Stay for your out-breath. And then inhale, let's take your hands up toward the ceiling. Palms join together. This time we'll bend your knees, softly fold over your legs. As you fold, find fingers on shins. Inhale, slide your fingers halfway up the legs, halfway lift. Head goes straight forward. And then exhale, slide those fingers back down and fold. Root into your feet. Inhale, rise up, reach up. Palms join together overhead and exhale, hands down into your heart. One more time, just like that. No surprises. Inhale, let's reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, rise up, reach up. And hands to heart. Let's add on from there. Inhale, reaching. Exhale, folding. Halfway lift, inhale. Feel the length of the spine grow longer. And then exhale, bow forward, right foot stays, left leg steps back. We're going to let that back knee fall down to the ground. It can just come down to the ground. Left hand is going to stay right below your shoulder, right hand to the sky. Open it up. Feel that expansiveness through your wings. And then some of you will stay there. Some of you start to lift that left hand up off the ground, bringing those arms up to parallel to the floor with the left hand forward and the right hand back. Some of you stay there. Some of you start to tip that right hand toward the back leg. It might or might not touch. And your left hand toward the sky. Now, wherever you're at there, if you've come upright, just feel a little bit of that left side of the body lengthen back. And then slowly, 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 both hands come back down to the ground from wherever you're at. Tuck your back toes under, lift the knee, and back we go. Doesn't need to be graceful, but just find your way back, downward facing dog. Now, depending on the practice you need this morning, you might stay for a few breaths or head back to cat-cow or child's pose. If you want to keep moving and adding on, let's come forward into plank. Inhale. Let's all drop our knees to the ground for this first one. Elbows point straight back. All the way to the belly. At the bottom there, you've been here before, so you've got baby cobra, or high cobra, up to you. Back to the belly, exhale. Press into hands and knees, come up, table. And downward facing dog. Settling for a full breath in. Settling for a full breath out. If it makes sense within your body and the space that you have, left foot to the sky. And then left foot forward between your hands. Make it work for you. Back knee to the ground. Right hand stays down. Left hand to the sky. Pausing here for a breath or two, even though you know we're going to add on potentially, just to feel that space, right? Whatever sort of compacting or heaviness that has landed into the chest and shoulders from your week, feel yourself moving through that, expanding through that. And then stay here if you'd like, or begin to float those arms up. Right hand forward, left hand back. Stay here, or start to drop that left hand toward the back leg. It might or might not touch. Right hand to the sky. And if you're upright at all, just feel those right ribs gently lengthen back a little bit. And then slowly both hands come down around your front foot. Boop, boop. That needed a sound effect for some reason. Tuck your back toes under, lift that knee, and we'll step forward. Right foot next to the left. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, reach up. And exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, hands reach. Let's pause here for a moment. Close your eyes. Turn the palms to face each other if they're not already. And I want you just to lengthen out through your right heel. So the right heel is going to press into the ground a little bit more as you reach up through your left fingertips, just a little bit more. Try not to just kind of elevate the shoulder and the arm. Feel from deeply within you this sense of space. And then let's do that same thing. Left heel rooting down. Right hand lengthening toward the ceiling. And then let's equally lengthen out through both heels, both sets of fingertips. Palms joined together overhead, soft bend to your knees. Let's fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. We'll keep your left foot where it's at. Take your right leg back. Now you have the choice to put your back knee down or keep that knee elevated, but we're going to do that same progression in the upper body. So right hand down, left hand to the sky. Let's take a full breath here, pausing, noticing if you need to take it deeper. Maybe you start to come on up. Arms parallel to the ground. Even if you think you're going to take it deeper, pause. Settle into the things that ground you, that keep you present and mindful. If you want to take it deeper, left hand down toward the back leg, right hand up. From wherever you're at, hands come down around your front foot. And we step back, downward facing dog. Again, you're invited to stay or inhale, come forward to plank. Your choice, knees up or down, will lower to the belly. Inhale, cobra of any height. Back to the belly, exhale. Inhale, table. And downward facing dog. When and if it makes sense, right leg lifts. And foot between your hands. Back knee up or down. Left hand stays. Right hand to the sky. Taking that moment of pause to breathe, to feel, to ground. Stay here if this is plenty for you today, or come on up, left hand forward, right hand back. And again, take that moment to pause. To not just keep plowing forward, but to internalize, to refine space. And then if it makes sense, to add more right hand toward the back leg, left hand toward the sky. When you're ready, both hands down around your front foot. We'll step forward, feet together. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees and come on up to chair. Couple breaths here. Anywhere between a standing desk and a squatty potty, you choose. Just enough bend in your knees that you become aware of the power, the strength, the support of your legs. And then let's pull your hands back behind you into a clasp. You can do thumbs or all of the fingers. Bend your knees enough that you can lay your belly on your thighs and let those arms tip away from your back. Now, if this is no good with the hands clasped, just go ahead and release the hands, fist them, and then let those arms fall away from your back any amount. Let the head be heavy. If you have your hands still clasped, go ahead and release the clasp, and then let those hands come down, forward, and we'll come all the way up to standing. Palms come together and hands into your heart. Take your eyeballs straight forward. Let them get steady. Feel your connection of the feet to the floor. And then shift into your right foot. Start to bring your left knee up to your chest. Maybe your cat will. There you go. He was banging into my leg right before I started to balance. Super helpful. So left knee up, just stand really tall. Notice the tendency to sort of lean back as you bring that leg up. Keep your shoulders and head stacked over your hips. And then let's start to take that left leg back into your lunge. Back knee off the ground, back heel off the ground as you land. Let's take your hands up to the sky. Once you're there, let's straighten your front leg, rooting into that right big toe. And then as you exhale, we're going to bend the front knee, bend to the elbows. Let your heart lift up toward the ceiling, and then we'll do that 2 more times. Inhale, straighten knees, straighten elbows. Exhale, bend. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, bend. And then inhale, reach up, lengthen one more time. And we're going to open up warrior 2, shoulders toward the long edge of your mat, and then rebend that front knee. Front knee and toes are pointing straight forward. And then once you've landed, let's take your right elbow to your right thigh and left hand straight up toward the sky. Now, similar to that kind of T shape that we were making in the arms, even with that elbow on the thigh, can you feel that broadening across the chest, the span of your wings? And let's take your left hand down beneath your right rib cage and just ever so gently help to roll those ribs forward. So instead of kind of facing the ground, whoop, roll it up, and then take that left hand back up to the sky. Option to stay here. Option to deeply in that left arm, turn your left palm forward to the front of your mat and bring that left arm alongside the left ear. Pause. Breathe. If you want more, start to slide that right hand down toward your ankle or the floor. Root into that back foot a little bit more. Feel the underside of that left leg really elevating and lifting. And then from wherever you're at, let's try to keep your front knee as bent as it is. Come back up, warrior two. Let that left hand come all the way back down the back leg. Right hand to the sky. Reverse warrior. And then hands come down around your front foot. Back heel lifts. And let's take it back. Downward facing dog. Invitation to stay or inhale plank. Knees up or down, we lower. Inhale, cobra of any height. Back to the belly as you exhale. And all the way back, downward facing dog. Inhale, bend your knees, lift your heels, look forward. Exhale, walk, step, or hop. Top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees and come up into chair. Keep the body in chair, the legs in chair. Let your hands reach down and back. Let that head tip forward. Inhale, sit up, chair pose, hands to the sky. Let's do that 2 more times. Exhale, lean and fly. Inhale, come on up. Last one. It can be as dramatic as you need it to be. And then all the way back up to standing. Let the legs straighten, let those palms come together. And exhale, hands into your heart. Steady breath in. Steady breath out. Feel your feet. Feel the presence of your body. Settle your gaze. Shift into that left foot. Let your right knee come on up to the chest. Pause. Observe. Connect. And then let's take that right leg all the way back behind you and into your lunge. Once you've landed, hands go upward. Let's straighten your front leg. And then as you exhale, we'll bend the front knee, bend the elbows. Inhale, straighten, reach up. 2 more. Bend as you exhale. Inhale, lengthen. Last one, bend. And lengthen. As you lift and lengthen here, let's ground your back heel, open your shoulders toward the long edge of your mat, open up. Warrior two, front knee bends. And once you're settled, let's bring your left elbow to your left thigh and your right hand straight up toward the sky. Pausing for a moment to feel that space across your wings. You can be any kind of bird you want to be. I paddleboarded with pelicans last weekend. It was pretty rad. I'm going to be a pelican today. Take that right hand down to your under ribs, your left ribs. Gently just help to roll them forward. It might be pretty subtle for some of us, but for me, it feels really nice to get in there and just encourage that. And then take the right hand back up to the sky. And you might choose to stay there. That might be the perfect expression for you today. The perfect place to pause. If you want to add on, take that right arm deeply in the socket, rotate the palm to face forward, bring that right arm alongside the right ear. Pause. If you want and need more, left hand starts to make that journey closer to the ground. Final breath here. Try to keep that front leg deeply bent. Come up into your warrior two and then back into that reverse. When you're ready, hands down around your front foot, back heel lifts. Back you go, downward facing dog. A few breaths of stillness if that's what you find yourself needing, or a few breaths of that vinyasa, plank, chaturanga, back bend to belly, through table or plank, and downward facing dog. If it makes sense, right foot to the sky. You can stay here if you'd like, or exhale, knee to heart, shoulders over wrists. Inhale, up and back. Let's do that 2 more times. Exhale, bring it in. Inhale, lift it up. 1 more time. This time with your exhale, we'll bring that foot forward between your hands and we'll rise into your lunge. Once you're settled here, let's bring your right hand down to your right hip. Left hand is going to come forward from the shoulder. Just keep the shoulders over the hips for now. And then we're going to start to tip forward. Take your left hand outside that right knee. Push the hand into the outer leg and begin to spiral, spin your heart open toward the right. Pause. This might be enough. If you want to explore a little deeper, start to slide that left arm further down, slow enough that you might even feel little moments of pause along the way to make sure that you still have space to ground, to notice, to breathe, to be cultivating that mindfulness. If at some point it feels good to take your right hand to the sky, great. If at some point it feels good to bend your elbows and prayer the hands, great. Wherever you're at, can you channel that bird that you brought to mind for yourself and really feel that wingspan? And then let your hands come down around the front foot. For a moment there, let that front leg straighten any amount. And then bend the front knee. Come back up into your lunge. Hands to heart. Let's tip forward over your front thigh. Take a breath. Start to think about balancing on that right foot. And when you're ready, come on up. Left leg hovering any amount off the ground. Thinking length like we did on our belly as we got started, as opposed to height. Less concerned about height, more concerned about length. Maybe both hands stay at heart. Maybe you take your right hand forward, just like we did on our belly as we got started. And then slowly, 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 bring that left knee up into your heart. Bring your right hand back to the heart. Slowly bend your right knee, bring your left foot to the ground. chair pose. Hands can stay at heart, hands can reach to the sky. Or if you really liked that clasped version with the fold, there you go. And then from wherever you're at, let's rise up all the way to standing. 2 hands to the sky, 2 feet rooting down. And exhale, hands to heart. Pausing here. Maybe you still the eyes, maybe you close them, but feel your breath. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. And then we're going to make our way back to down dog any way that feels nice. Might just be planting the hands and stepping back. You might roll through plank, chaturanga, back bend to get there. When you're ready, left leg lifts. Staying here or exhale, knee to heart, shoulders over wrists. Inhale, up and back. 2 more times with your breath. Bring it in. And kick back, inhale. Last time, bring it in. And back. Left foot between your hands. Rise up into your lunge. Let your hands come up to the sky. And then bring your left hand to your left hip. Right arm straight forward. And just keep the shoulders over the hips for now. Then take the whole torso, start to tip forward as you reach that right hand forward. Start to spin the right ribs down, left ribs up. Bring that right hand outside the left knee. Push the hand into the outer leg. Feel that broadening across the chest. Stay here. Or without any rush, right? I could care less what the destination is. Just feel that experience of gradually deepening your twist. That right hand sliding down little by little. Slow enough that you have room and space to check in with what's happening across the chest, what's happening with the breath, what's happening with your support. If at some point it makes sense and feels good to take that left hand to the sky, up it goes. And if at some point it feels good to bend your elbows and prayer the hands, there it goes. Wherever you're at, space. And then slowly untwist, let your hands come to the ground. And let that front leg straighten any amount. If you are a little hot and sweaty this morning, you're not alone. You're welcome. Bend that front knee. Come on up into your lunge. And just let those hands come into your heart. Start to tip forward. Pause. So you know what's coming now. We're coming up to balance. Get yourself ready. So instead of just going for it and then figuring it out, give yourself the tools. The feet, the core support, the breath, the gaze, the mental stamina. And then when you're ready, up we go. Again, caring a little less about the lift of the leg and more the length. If it makes sense to take your left hand forward, to feel that length diagonally across the body, play with that. Maybe you step out and come back in. And then let's bring it all up into your heart. Right knee up, both hands in. Start to bend that left knee. We'll do a moment of flamingo for Jerry, Jerry's spirit animal, and then let the right foot come down into chair. Hands go up. And let's take 3 of those dramatic folds if it feels nice here, folding over those legs. Let the body drape over them. Inhale, come on up. 2 more. Last one. And up we go, all the way to standing. Palms come together, hands into your heart. Eyes steady. Breath steady. Let's shift into your right foot. Left knee or left foot is coming to your bottom. Now we are balancing. We're going to take dancer pose this morning. If your balance is like mine today, feeling a little shaky, you might move to hold on to something. Wall, bookcase, couch, dog. So option 1 is just foot to butt. Here it is. Focus on your balance, especially if you're feeling wobbly. Option 2, reach back with your left hand, grab foot or stretchy pants, and just be here. This might be your dancer pose today because it's already dancing. And then, of course, if you want to push the foot into the hand, lifting the heart up and forward, maybe the right hand goes up as well. Let's focus today less on how pretty does my dancer pose look and more on that length. Not necessarily length at the extremities, but length from deep within, creating space. Slowly release. Left foot to the ground. Let's either drop the hands beside you or bring your hands together at the heart. Couple breaths to reset. And then over into that left foot we go when you're ready. Right foot to the bottom. Option 1. Notice if you've already jumped into dancer pose. Can you pause along the way to build mindfully and steadily? Right foot, right hand, if that makes sense, pause. Maybe you start to push the foot into the hand. Take that left hand up and forward for dancer pose. Again, creating that deep inner length and space. And then slowly release. Right foot to the ground. Let's take 2 hands to the sky. Root into your feet. Maybe take your hands an inch or 2 or 5 back behind you. And then with an exhale, like a crunch, come back up and bring your hands into heart. Let's turn your toes out, heels in. And nice and slowly, let's bend your knees. Start to lower down through a squat. We are coming all the way down to the floor, so if this is no bueno on your knees, just come all the way down. If you want to stop in a squat for a few breaths, there it is. When you're ready, we'll find the floor. As you find the ground, we're going to take the legs out into a wide V. You can turn sideways on your mat, or at home, you might just stay where you're at. And then once you're settled there, let's bend your right leg and bring the foot to the inner left thigh. Left hand, left shin. Right hand is going to come underneath those left ribs and just ever so gently pull them forward. And then after you've done that, let that right hand come on up to the sky. Option 1, stay here. Option 2 is you root down into that right hip, take your right arm up and over into the side bend. Some of you might grab that foot, but don't make it the goal. If you're like me and you like to chill out here, bend that bottom elbow and support the head. If you really like to chill out here, whoop, drape that right arm over the head as well. Any of those options are fantastic. Just make sure you have some room and space to breathe here. Noticing that there's a point at which we take our body so deep into poses that it almost kind of triggers that emotional reactivity as opposed to that really mindful responsiveness. Can you maintain enough space to not be reactive? And then we'll gently just tip forward. Pew. I just saw your flamingos, Jerry. Let your hands come to the ground. Do the little sway. And then walk your hands in toward the body. Let's take that right leg back out to its V. And then bend your left knee, bring that in. Right hand to right shin, left hand underneath the body, help spin those ribs forward. You might just stay there and repeat that over and over again. Feels really good in my body. Or take that arm up on the diagonal. I don't want you to think of these options necessarily as a ladder of like good, better, best, or advancing. They're just different ways to explore and experience and practice. So they're all kind of maybe even playing field. Just do you want vanilla or do you want chocolate or do you want strawberry? Stay here or bend that. Maybe you don't bend the elbow yet, but you could. As you take that arm up and over, I got distracted by ice cream. I was like, ooh, soft serve. That sounds so good. Those of you in Salem, if you haven't been to the Fork 40 yet, there's amazing soft serve. If you want to support the head, support the head. And if you want to drape that arm over the head, there it goes. One more full breath here. Just let yourself roll forward. Take that little sway. Now walk your hands in toward that left shin, and we'll take both legs out to that V for a moment. And sit up nice and tall. Toes pointed upwards, heels lengthening out. That same sort of length from deep in the hips. And let's just take your right hand between the legs, the left hand back behind you. A little rotation here. Feel that axis of your spine. Let it be really tall. Hips heavy, heels rooted. And then untwist, same thing, second side, left hand forward, right hand back. And then go ahead and untwist. Let's help your legs. They do a lot for you. Scoop the legs up behind the knees, help those knees bend, bring those legs to center with the feet on the ground. And let's gently ease yourself down onto your back. As you come onto your back, let's bend the knees, bring them into the chest. Hug onto shins or thighs in a way that feels really good for your body. And then let's slide your hands onto the hamstrings and take your feet up toward the sky. If it's too much with your legs straight, then just let the knees softly bend. But what I want you to feel, I don't want you to feel like you're trying to lift your hips up off the ground. It's really core intensive. Just let the pelvis get really heavy. Allow those legs to not have to work for a little bit in terms of holding you up. Let them be held up by the pelvis, the low back. Feel the length of your spine beginning to get heavy in the floor. Allow the head and the shoulders to be held by the ground. And then we're going to start to bend your knees. Take those knees wide. Reach up with your hands onto the ankles or the feet. Happy baby. And then gently release your limbs down onto the ground. And let's set ourselves up to take rest. For those of you that are like me, I'm just going to turn off the video. I'm done. Do what you need to do if you have things you need to do, but know that the stillness, this rest is the most important thing we do in our practice for our nervous system and for switching the gears from that place of emotional reactivity and to mindful response. So if you have time, if you have space to let yourself be still here for a little bit. Try to continue to push pause on any analysis, judgment, internal conversation, or planning. This is the pause. Allow your next inhale to be a little more full. And your next exhale to be a little more complete. And as it feels nice to start to add some movement back into your body, gently add some movement back into your body. Movement that without any rush brings you up into a comfortable seat. As you find that seat, let your palms come together in front of your heart and just spend these final moments with yourself, absorbing or tucking away the tools of this practice, the gifts of this practice, and carrying this ability to pause, to gather yourself, to open yourself, to breathe, to root, and applying that to your conversations this week, your social media feeds, your interactions. Carrying the gifts of this practice with you, not just for yourself, but for everyone you connect with along the way. The light within me honors the light within each of you. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you being here with us. Couple quick things. So we appreciate your donations and support for these classes, keeps them sustainable, keeps Musketeer fed, among other things. The donation information is in the description of the class. It's also always up on our website as well, Venmo, PayPal, all kinds of places. And we appreciate those. So thank you. We will not be doing a yoga and coffee class next Saturday because it's 4th of July. So we're just going to let all of our teachers have a holiday weekend, and then we'll be back at it for the Saturdays of July. So just keep looking for links. It'll always be this link is where it'll always be when it goes live. So this will continue for at least the summer, and as long as you guys are interested, we'll keep it going. All of our classes right now through July 1st are on a wait list in Salem. Monday at noon, we open registration for our following Monday class at Legacy. And that kind of 1 week before class opening of registrations will continue for the foreseeable future. I think those are the key announcements right now. So thank you guys. Thank you, Howard. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Jan. Good to have you guys here with us. I hope everyone has a really lovely Saturday. And if I don't see you in class in the next couple of weeks, then I will see you here in a couple Saturdays. Thank you, Neil, for the puns. That's amazing. Thank you, Kathy. I love these Saturday classes too. Thanks, Wendy and Lori. Mom Lori. Oh, Amy, hi. Good to see you. Glad you're here with us. All right, guys, I'm going to hit end stream, but thank you. And like I said, enjoy your Saturday. Have a great weekend. Go spread the love.